Welcome to our deep dive today. We are going to be talking about how your thoughts can shape your reality. We've got some really interesting research to dig into.
Yeah, that's right. This is something we hear a lot, this phrase, but we often sort of go through life not really thinking about just how much power our thoughts have over pretty much everything in our lives, our
Mhm.
emotions, actions, the situations we find ourselves in.
So it's like deeper than just think positive and good things will happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about slapping on a smile. It's really about understanding your own thought patterns and then being able to sort of intentionally choose thoughts that empower you. Kind of like if you imagine your thoughts are the blueprint
Okay.
and then your reality is the building that's going to be constructed from it.
I see where we're going with this. So like, okay, let's say you're getting ready for a big job interview.
Yeah.
How does this whole like thoughts shape reality thing, how does that work in that situation?
Oh, that's a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine you go into that job interview and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to mess this up or they're never going to hire me? You might unknowingly start, acting in ways that actually reinforce those beliefs.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you stumble over your words, you don't appear as confident, you end up sort of sabotaging your own chances, right?
Right.
And that's the classic self-fulfilling prophecy in action.
Totally.
Oh,
But so okay, but on the flip side, if you go in thinking I've got this.
mhm.
Does that have an effect on the outcome?
It really can. If you go in believing in your abilities and you're visualizing yourself having a really successful interview, your confidence, it's going to shine through. You'll project positive energy, you'll answer those questions, with conviction, and you're much more likely to get the job. So that's that self-fulfilling prophecy working in your favor.
I love it. But I mean, I think a lot of people might be listening and thinking, well, okay, this sounds great, but how do I change those thought patterns that, have been basically ingrained in my brain for years, maybe decades?
Yeah. And it's not just like flipping a switch, unfortunately.
Right.
But there are, proven techniques that can really help us retrain our minds. So it's kind of like, we go to the gym for our bodies, but this is like going to the gym for your thoughts.
I like that.
Things like meditation or reflective writing and using positive affirmations.
Okay, well, I can definitely see how some people might hear those things, meditation, affirmations, and they might be like, hmm, that sounds a little too new agey for me. You
Yeah.
know, how would you respond to someone who's a little skeptical?
Yeah, I think it's normal to be skeptical, right? But
Mm.
there's actually a lot of scientific research that really backs up how effective these practices can be. For instance, we know that studies have shown that meditation can literally change the structure of your brain. So it strengthens areas that are associated with focus, emotional regulation, self-awareness. And it can even reduce activity in your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that is, the fear and stress response center.
Wow. Okay, so you talked about this idea of going to the gym for your mind. Can you kind of break that down a little bit more in terms of like, okay, if I'm doing meditation, what muscles am I training?
Okay.
And if I'm doing reflective writing, how does that work?
So I think with meditation, what you're doing is you're training your mind to become more aware of your thoughts without judging them. So it's kind of like you're creating the space, right,
Mm.
between you and your thoughts so that you're not just, totally swept away by every single one that comes in your head. And this can be so helpful, especially when you're dealing with anxieties or, a situation where you're just feeling really overwhelmed. Let's say you have to give a big presentation at work, you're feeling all this anxiety. Through meditation, you can start to learn how to just observe those thoughts without letting them, control you.
That makes total sense. Okay, so what about reflective writing? What is that? How does that fit into all of this?
So reflective writing, it's kind of like having a conversation with yourself on paper,
Oh, I like that.
right? It gives you this safe space to really explore your thoughts and feelings. And by writing things down, that's how we start to see those patterns. We can identify, what are those triggers that cause us to kind of spiral into negative thinking. And it helps us to really challenge those thoughts a lot more effectively. So for example, you might be journaling and you notice you're constantly writing all this, self-criticism. And then you can start asking yourself, well, is this thought even true? Is this helpful? What would be a more compassionate way to think about this?
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it. And then, okay, so the last one that you mentioned was positive affirmations. Can you talk about those a bit more?
So positive affirmations, that's where you consciously choose, positive statements that are aligned with your goals, and then you just repeat them regularly. And, it might feel a little bit strange at first to be, kind of saying these things to yourself,
Oh, yeah.
but with consistency, it can really help to reprogram your subconscious mind. So it's
Yeah.
like imagine you're planting seeds, right, in your mind. Those positive affirmations, those are the seeds. And then, with enough repetition, with nurturing them, they can grow into these like really powerful beliefs that then shape your reality.
I love that analogy. I love that. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking those negative, kind of self-sabotaging thoughts, and we're replacing them with ones that are more empowering.
Exactly. We're rewiring those neural pathways that have been so ingrained for so long. And the great thing is our brains, they are so adaptable.
Right.
With consistent effort, we can shift away from the negative and move towards more positive and constructive thoughts.
Okay, so this has been incredibly eye-opening, but is this, a quick fix? What would you say to someone who's maybe struggling to make these changes? Who's trying to incorporate some of this stuff, but is feeling a little bit of resistance?
Yeah. You're right. This isn't a quick fix, unfortunately. It takes time and effort to really shift those deeply ingrained thought patterns. It's like
Right.
breaking any bad habit. There's going to be resistance and it won't happen overnight. So the key is to be kind to yourself. Celebrate those small victories. And consistency is key. Even if you can only manage, 5 minutes of meditation a day or you just write in your journal, once a week,
Good.
that's a great start. Over time, those small actions, they're going to lead to bigger and bigger shifts in your thinking
Mm.
and ultimately your reality.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. So what's the one thing you want our listener to kind of walk away with today, to really remember?
Just remember, your thoughts are so powerful.
Mm.
Start paying attention to them. Start to notice those negative patterns that come up and then challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought really serving me? What would be a more empowering way to think about this situation? And remember, you have the power to choose your thoughts, and in doing so, you have the power to shape your reality.
That's so powerful. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today. It's been amazing.
Thanks for having me.
See you next time.